Are you lacking in creativity? We have the solution for you. How about dry a stick cat? Stay tuned. Hello and welcome to episode 19 of Small Businesses Do It Better, where we highlight small business owners that do all sorts of great things. And tonight we have a special guest. His name is Steve, and he draws a cat for you. Oh, he'll be on in just a moment, and it's an honor to have him as a guest tonight. And Carissa, she's the one that booked this guest. And she also, if you can see behind us, we have our own stick drawing from Steve. And we're very proud of that. So it's behind us. And we're going to take your questions on the chat. And thank you so much for tuning in, because this is a special night for Carissa and I. And Jen, who's moderating the chat room. So this show is actually sponsored by who we are. We're actually Ovaleye, and we do web hosting. And so at Ovaleye, we sell hosting. In that respect, we are a little like GoDaddy, except that Ovaleye is owned by women and run by women. We offer you the same services we use to build our own business. At Ovaleye, we simply want to help you create something for you. Sorry, I'm getting over a cold, so if I cough, excuse me. So we are going to bring on our special guest, because we're not going to go through the news that we have or anything else. So Carissa, I'd like you to introduce our guest.
Tonight we have Steve Gadlin as our guest. He is iwanttodrawaCatForYou.com. He was on Shark Tank, and you've seen us in our past episodes doing our
your
effort
version
in our cat dances and our promos. So
we might have to have Carissa do that cat dance again later. Okay.
So we'd like to welcome Steve. Hi, Steve.
Hello,
How
Steve.
Are you guys?
Thank you so much for being a guest.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me. This will be fun.
Yes, it will. Okay.
So Steve's in the official cat drawing headquarters tonight.
Oh, yes. Doesn't it look creative behind you?
That's somebody else's desk, but right in front of me, it's super creative.
Okay, so
there's a couple people who may not have watched Shark Tank,
yes,
but still know you. So if you want to just tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. My name's Steve, and I run a business called iwanttodrawaCatForYou.com, where you can log on to my website and tell me what type of cat you'd like me to draw, and then I'll draw it for you and send it to you in the mail. So I draw cats kind of like this or this. And, you can send in a personal request or any old thing you want, and I'm happy to draw it. I also, I'm a web developer for my day job, and I produce some comedy shows here in Chicago as well.
You have quite the list of things you do, and I would say you are the true entrepreneur, because not only do you take risks, you're creative, but you have no time except to work on what you love most. And so it's in Chicago. We're actually in Washington, so it's 3 hours difference, and he's not done working yet. Oh, 2 hours. Sorry, 2 hours difference. My bad. So he's not done working. In fact, you've basically just started your evening work.
Yeah.
This is what I love about entrepreneurs. When they love something, they do everything they can to make it happen. Because he also has 3 kids and a wife and a whole nother life probably besides what he does here. So listening or reading your blog today was very inspiring.
I have to say, I have found a quote on one of your blog posts. Kathy found it.
I love it.
That stood out to me. I think it's just awesome because it suits me, at least. Weird people need to be noisy sometimes to meet other weird people so that they can find them.
Yeah.
A very nice
and that's kind
quote.
of how I found you. I kind of related to your level of weirdness. And
cool.
I'm sure a lot of people do, though.
We have some people already talking on the chat where
they want you to say some things on the air here. We've got the live chat going on the screen. Looks like
you have to sing. They want you to
Hunt
sing.
and Bear wants you to say whoopee.
Whoopee, Hunt and Bear. It's hard to say without throwing up my hands, but there you go.
Before you leave tonight, maybe you can do a little bit of the song for us, if you don't mind.
I can try. It's not. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll see how we are on time. And
yeah, that's true.
I'm going to start with the questions that we have planned for you, but we do have a couple questions since that people have sent in that we're going to throw in kind of in the middle of our questions. But the first question I have is, with all your brands, I'll kind of name a couple of them. In the Bloot brand, you have Talkin' Funny, Don't Spit in the Water, The Nairobi Project, Impress These Apes, Two Film T-shirt, and I Want to Write a Song for You. So how do you manage all of your time with all of these projects that you have going on?
It's difficult, and I think a lot of the projects I work on, there's a long list of them, but it's deceiving to think, that I'm always working on all of these things at one time. A lot of our shows are seasonal, and I work with the whole production team for our stage shows that we do, so there are a lot of people who put in a lot of time on these projects. I was very involved in getting them off the ground at the beginning, and still, work on them a lot, but we have a lot of our shows on autopilot now, which is nice. So the key for me is, with certain projects, I work with teams of people, and they're great teams of people. And then for other projects, it's all me. And it's just kind of balancing how many of those projects are happening at the same time. But it's just a matter of when you're very excited about a project, you forget what time it is. So I can put in hours and hours at night on some of these projects and not even notice they've gone by. And somehow I still find time to sleep.
That's good. Important.
That's good. Yeah.
So with all these ideas, I'm sure you have others that you haven't decided to turn into a business. How do you decide which of your ideas to turn into a business or a brand of your Bloot company?
Yeah, a lot of it is it's timing, and it's where I am when the idea comes up. And then I look at the people around me and the resources I have. So for I want to draw a cat for you.com, that could just as easily have been, a throw-off idea that never happened. But at the time I thought of it, I was working closely with a really great videographer. The song happened to pop into my head, and I happened to have GarageBand set up on a new Mac that I was experimenting with.
Yeah.
So everything kind of clicked, and the pieces were all right in front of me. So I was able to execute on every piece of the project. I don't like to start projects that I can't finish. And once I start a project, no matter how dumb it ends up being, I kind of have to finish it. And then sometimes really cool things happen. So yeah, a lot of it is just, there's no magic seed or magic bean that makes a project complete for me. It really is just looking at the people and resources around me and seeing what I can finish.
Excellent advice. One of the questions that we had asked after we announced you were on the show was from on Twitter, Kat, Kat_Kim_.
Hello, Kat.
She wants to know if you knew that the cat drawings were going to be such a great idea and be so successful.
No, I had, I want to say I wouldn't have started the project if I didn't see potential for it to grow and to be something really cool. I don't think I imagined it growing quite on the scale that it did. But, I have to acknowledge that Shark Tank, as much as we say we create our own luck, there was also a lot of luck in getting cast on Shark Tank. And that there's just no substitute for that national exposure for growing a project. So I didn't assume it would, but I like to follow through on everything as if it will succeed, just so I have the pieces in place.
And I read on your blog today that, can you just give a little how you started getting into the process of Shark Tank? It was just like a text or an email. What did you say on that?
So I like to apply for game shows. I really love game shows. I produce some game shows here in the city, and Shark Tank. I go to the network sites and I see what game shows are casting, and I had seen Shark Tank a lot, and I saw the email address where you could apply and thought, okay, why not? So I sent pretty much a 2-sentence email. I said, hey, I draw stick figure cats. Let me at them. Thinking it was just kind of a throw off email, but from there forward, they responded, and it kind of all happened. It came together very surprisingly.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye on our live chat here. Uncle Cat with a K wants to know if you have any cats.
I'm very allergic. I'm allergic to cats. I grew up with a cat, and I have a lot of friends with cats. I don't trust myself with pets. And yeah, actually, when we filmed the update on Shark Tank, I spent a lot of time at the Anti-Cruelty Society covered in cats, and that was one of the worst days of my life. It just kicked off this allergic reaction that lasted a week. Yeah, so I don't know that I will ever have a real cat.
Just drawing them is good enough for you.
Yeah.
He's seen enough.
There's Gina has a question too.
Sure.
Wait a minute. Why cats? Why not hot dogs? Wait. Why not dogs or fish? Why cats?
From
From
again,
Real Scott.
it's a random. It's just something that happened randomly. When I was in high school, I used to draw a comic strip called Silly Cat Comics, and instead of listening in class, and then I would pass it around. And then that kind of carried into college, and the first website I ever built was for this comic strip, Silly Cat Comics. And so I had not touched that for about 10 years before this started, but I think it was just kind of already, I knew I could draw a cat. I know that sounds funny because I can't really draw a cat, but I could draw this particular style of cat. So it just,
Hey, it works.
Yeah.
It rhymed with more things for the song, maybe, than dog.
Yeah, the song has a lot to do with it too.
Yeah.
Gina Thomas has a really good question. Can you read that? I'm a little too far from it.
Which one is that?
Right there, by Ovaleye Moderator. Question from Gina Thomas. I'm curious if his startup costs were personally financed and what he spent his money on initially.
So yeah, I started this business on my own, but fortunately, I'm a web developer, so there were very few real startup costs. For the initial site, I shot the video, and the video was financed with money that the business made later. But it was, a friend of mine who put the video together for me, and then the music was all just, done me sitting in a chair with a laptop. So there wasn't much cost to get it running. That was one of the cool things about this, was that it would kind of pay for its own growth. If I sold no cats, well, there wasn't much lost. If I sold 100 cats, well, then I'd have a little money to grow the business with, or to spend a little more time on the website with.
A perfect startup business.
Yeah, it was, the whole idea was I wanted to play businessman. I wanted to try and market something and try to have my own, to do the things that a business owner would get to do. But I didn't want to spend the money, and I didn't want to create a real product. So I thought, well, I can draw a doodle on a piece of paper. Let's see if I can sell it now.
Well, now the question is, are you happy you started that?
Some days most days I'm delighted. There are some nights where I think, I went on to television. Yeah, I went on TV and I told the world I wanted to draw these cats for them, and then they took me up on the offer, and it's killing me. But it's great. I mean, watching, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I'm learning so much from this. And if this turns into nothing, well, you know what? I've gone through all of the steps that a business owner has to go through, and I can apply those to other things.
Yes,
so
you've learned a lot.
So much. Oh yeah,
more than most people.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an excellent crash course in here's what a business is, and it's business at its most basic, right? I mean, it's selling sheets of paper to people, basically.
And the crash course really happened. I mean, it shows in your blog you've done this for years, but actually the big stuff has happened just since January.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, Shark Tank is responsible for the bulk of the attention that any of this stuff has received. But, I've been going through the motions on this stuff with several other projects that I felt I'm glad it took this long, because it was I kind of knew how to handle myself and how to capitalize on that attention, I
Yes.
think.
I think you've done a
yourself?
very good job. Yes.
Thanks.
Before you had a Shark Tank experience, you did a Groupon deal, which did sell out. So
Yeah.
what advice can you give to those who may think about doing a Groupon deal for their own business?
Groupon is great if you realize you're trading it. What you're getting is attention. I wouldn't do a Groupon to make money. I would do a Groupon to build an audience for your restaurant or your product, whatever, you know. Again, I have an advantage in that my product had very little cost to it, so I could handle that 1,000 orders that came in without it, you know, destroying my business or my customer service or anything like that. So I'd say Groupon was well suited to me. I don't know that it would be for everyone. Especially now they do so many deals in a day, you don't really get quite the attention you used to get for having a featured deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a very cool tool, but you have to realize it's also just a marketing tool. It's not a it's not a ticket to gazillions of dollars.
Yes. What is the most cat productive environment that you put yourself in?
The most cat productive environment.
The cat. Good one.
So I have rented an office space at a collaborative office space here in Evanston. So I have 2 desks here, and I do the bulk of my work here. And in the months after I taped my Shark Tank pitch, and the months between the taping and the airing, I had so much work to do just to get my website ready for the traffic. And that was the best move I ever made, was getting this office space, because having a space to work on this without the distractions of home has been, it's so invaluable to me. I think an hour spent here is worth 2 hours spent somewhere else. So.
Well, and that's another good point that you did. We're in the web hosting business, and I liked how you were able to, I think it did crash though, right?
Yeah, my first night it crashed.
But you were ready, or at least you tried to be ready for that, and I thought that was pretty good. Smart move.
And since, like, the guy who helped me, I was him learning he learned his lessons with me. He's helped several Shark Tank entrepreneurs now, and he helped me through my update and rerun, and there hasn't been a crash since. So
you were the one that helped him. Nice.
Yes, which was great. He was very helpful, and he was, working his butt off to keep it online. So fortunately, it wasn't down for too long, and it worked out.
That's nice. Okay.
Awesome.
We should look at the chat again.
A lot of questions in here are about the actual cat drawings themselves, which is kind of related to the next question that I have.
Okay.
What's the craziest cat you've ever drawn, and have you ever had to do any research for any of these cats drawing, and how long does it take you, and all that kind of stuff?
I'll tell you, my attention span for these drawings is so quick. By the time I'm finished and signing my name, I don't remember what I just drew. There have been a lot of crazy ones. I just finished number 6,217.
Wow.
I have orders through about 7,300. So there's a bit of a backlog right now. They're really crazy. A lot of these are so personal. I think I've drawn almost every inside joke there is at this point. And I don't need to understand it. I just draw it. And then, what was the second part of that question? I'm sorry.
Have you ever had to do any research for any of these drawings?
Oh, yeah, actually. What's really common is I'll have to look up sports teams to see what colors they are. But I'm starting to catch on. A lot of people do college sports, and I don't know every college's colors. Types of cars they'll ask for that I'll have to look up. So yeah, I usually have my iPad next to me while I'm drawing, so I can Google things to see what they look like. Though that doesn't generally have much effect on how a thing gets drawn, but I like to know anyway.
Yeah, I think you had to do some research on ours. Our cat is wearing an Ovaleye t-shirt with our logo
on it.
I
looked up the logo.
Well, thank you very much.
You guys can see it right back here.
Yeah, thanks for having a very simple logo.
Nothing crazy.
A lot of people are asking, and we're getting down to some of the questions about Shark Tank. We're not quite there, but the first one that everybody wants to know, and you know what it is. It's, what is Mark Cuban like?
He's interesting. He's very accessible not just to me. I mean, he answers a lot of emails just from anyone. I think I read somewhere he's done about $4 million in investments that have just come from people emailing him out of the blue.
Hello, tip.
Right. But he's very busy. But even with that, he'll email me a couple of times a week. So I think he has a genuine interest in what I'm doing. He didn't just make this investment for a joke or for good TV. Before we even knew this was going to air, he was telling me, we were talking about closing the deal and doing the due diligence. So very communicative, but also very short. He'll tell you exactly what he's thinking in 2 words or less usually.
Time is money.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to ask you to draw a cat really quick. I have not told him what this cat is going to be.
Okay.
I just want to see how quick he is and how it's a pretty simple cat, but it might require some thought.
This is for our team member Connie. Hello, Connie, Randy, and Colby. Sorry. So he's going to draw a cat for you.
So Connie is kind of the business person here at Ovaleye.
Okay.
She also heads up our local, I guess, chapter or community of the Random Acts of Kindness. So she wanted a Random Acts of Kindness cat.
Okay, I can do that.
So you can kind of hear him
Hello,
drawing.
Connie.
Yeah, this probably isn't the best visual off the top of my head.
And somebody wants to know on the live chat, how many Sharpies have you gone through?
A lot. I don't know a total. I find a Sharpie, for those of you looking to get into the cat drawing business, fine point black Sharpie will do about 25 to 40 cats, usually about 30. It's time to set it aside. But I'll put them out on a table here. There's always stacks of Sharpies for people because they have a life beyond cat drawing. I mean, they still have plenty of ink in them, but the tip gets a little too fat and it's hard to hit the details or do lettering. So I go through a bunch. So I guess if you divide the number of cats I've drawn by 25, that's close. I can't do that math that quickly.
You don't want any fuzzy cats.
Right, exactly. And fortunately, they're not, a real ridiculous business expense. They're pretty inexpensive.
So if you're just now seeing the top of his head, he's drawing a cat really quick.
And Connie asked
put
if
my
we have
URL up here.
That's true. But Connie asked if we have a stopwatch. No, we don't have a stopwatch on this show, but I'm sure he has to get back to work at some point.
I think it takes about 2 minutes for each cat, unless he has some crazy research to do.
Yes.
Yeah, it's usually 2 to 3 minutes, and sometimes I take a little more time. See, I don't put a restriction on the number of details you can have in a drawing, and I get a lot of people who have like 7 cats in a drawing, or they want a whole family, and I tell them on the page, I'll try to take just as much time with 7 as I would with 1, and they'll be kind of rushed, but I find myself spending more time on them anyway, just because I don't want to send them junk,
So did Ballad of Woman, did he just answer your question? How often is the first attempt to drawing a good one?
Oh, always. I think there have been 5 in the 6,217 that I've drawn where I've started over at some point. And that's part of it too, is I'm gonna I say you get what you get and you don't get upset. And it's really what you're getting is this spontaneous response to the description you've given me. And a lot of times I mess up the description or I miss some things. But it's, I think, more important that this be a spontaneous piece of art because it's not a quality piece of art, but so you trade that for kind of the spontaneity and that.
And do you color them yourselves or do you have someone color them in for you?
I color some of them myself, but now since Shark Tank, I've hired some people to do the coloring for me. So I'll still draw every pig. I just drew a pig, so I had a pig on my mind. I'll draw all the cats, and other people will help me color them.
That's an awesome cat.
Here, hold it up one more
go.
time. Yeah, a little higher there.
There's Connie's live cat drawing from Steve.
Yeah,
awesome.
and it's a cat giving some flowers to a pig.
Thank you, Steve.
Of course.
Okay.
So I'll mail this off to you guys so you have it.
We don't want to cut in line because I know you just upped your time from 4 to
Yes.
6 to 8 weeks.
Sorry about that, but thank you very
Sadly, I
much.
did.
So Mark Cuban did agree to draw 1 cat per 1,000 as seen on TV, so he can't back out of it. How's he doing on that?
So he agreed to do that on air, but as we worked out the agreement, that wasn't really part of it on paper. So what he's done is he's offered to draw cats for people for $1,000, which he's come through on. A couple of people have ordered $1,000 stick figure cat drawings, and he's.
They were pretty good too.
Yeah, I draw them first and show him what I would draw, and then he draws his
Well,
version
they're very
of
good,
that.
Steve.
Yeah, he's a good student, but I don't know that he's ready to take over the business yet.
Oh, that's funny. You just revealed a secret about him.
Connie says thank you, by the way.
Oh, of course, Connie.
So
My mom's name is Connie, so
That's what somebody said in the chat.
I think it's probably
my
the
sister.
cat fan. Oh, your sister.
Hello.
So if you could sum it up about your whole Shark Tank experience, what were some of the best takeaways that you've learned from that?
Gosh. So on a business level, the biggest thing I've learned was that it's more important right off the bat, more than making the sale, is making the connection with the customer. So what I tried to do when I aired on Shark Tank and with all the updates is make the website, make it very hard for people not to like your Facebook page and not to give you their email address, because it's more important with that rush of customers that you can kind of collect is such a terrible word, just that you can find a way to reach out to them when you're really ready with a message and have something to sell.
Well, that's a good tip.
So technically, that was the biggest lesson for me. Other than that, I think I get a lot of emails from people offering to do my social media for me and to handle my Facebook page and my Twitter account. And I think the lesson here too is that this may not be for every product, but with a product like mine, it's more important that I'm doing that myself. And actually talking to and connecting with every single one of my customers, so that if I do ever grow to the point where someone else has to do that, at least I have this core of customers that feel connected to the brand. So it's real important for me to be as much of the voice of this as I can.
I like that.
Answering all the emails that come in, doing all my own Facebooking and tweeting, just because if it's not me, if it's someone else, then, especially when your product is a stick figure on a piece of paper, all you really have is that it's genuine. So that's the other, it's been a real validation that you can do business like that and have some success. I know, maybe the knowledge or the rule of thumb would be that you have to kind of outsource that kind of stuff to an expert at it. But there's room for just people talking and being genuine too.
That's nice.
And sorry, Megan. I remember
There's a lot
Megan's
of questions
question.
going
Yeah, there's
on
a lot
here.
of questions. But I remember Megan Thomas. She's from 425 Mom, a local mom blog. She asked earlier in the day that I just remembered the question. How do you get on Shark Tank? I know you said you kind of search for these things, but someone who doesn't research game shows, how would you suggest finding that?
It's different for everyone. I would go to abc.com/Shark Tank. I know they're doing casting calls now. They're finishing off. They're doing one in Orlando, maybe this weekend. But they also just have an email address. And, for me, it was just sending an email and very succinctly explaining what I do.
You're showing the one where you're sitting in the bathroom.
Well, good. That's...
A classic.
So I think the trick is don't use too many words. I think the tendency for people applying to the show would be to overload these casting people with, pages and pages on what their product and company is. But more than a vehicle for finding good companies to invest in, this is a TV show. They just want genuine people with very short stories to tell. So my tip would be, if you're going to apply, just use as few words as possible and shoot them an email or show up to a casting call and be yourself.
Great tip.
Nice tip.
So last month you partnered with Castle Spring, which is a product manufacturer. So what led to this, and what products are going to come of this, if you can tell us that?
Yeah, so it was a connection made through Shark Tank. I was introduced to Castle Spring through Mark and the show, and they're a toy development company. We have a few toy designs that they are pricing out right now. The idea would be to develop a line of cat drawing related toys, little action figures, some cool magnet toys too. But all of that is still very young. And I don't really know where it's going to go. It might be something that takes off. It might be something that never actually comes to fruition, but it's been kind of an exciting, again, a lesson for me in how something like that would work. Yeah, hopefully something comes of that.
Well, Carissa would like a cup for her son, Parker.
Yeah, I was just thinking, I mean, cups. You need cups. Like kids' cups.
Kids' cups.
So the next thing I'm launching is a brand called Whoopee Cats. Again, my hands were flying up. That's less about me drawing individual cats, and I'm designing a series. Yeah, those shirts that you're showing right now, but that's not a final design either. That was just something I was playing around with. But yeah, once that is live, it will definitely be something that try to put on all sorts of products. iPhone cases, shirts, cups, coffee mugs.
Yes, Molly's mom mentioned coffee mugs, and that's a good idea.
Yes.
Yeah.
One quick question, really quick, from The Real Scott is his name. He's at Real Scott on Twitter. He wants to know, since you've risen to shark levels in the business ocean, how do you plan to help the next cat guy or next business rise to the top?
I don't know that I've quite risen to shark levels, but I'd say what I do is I'm very accessible, and again, I make a point of trying to answer every email that comes to me. So I don't know that my advice will make anyone millions of dollars, but I'm always happy to share my story and my strategies and be pretty transparent about everything. So.
Well, you've given some great advice tonight. Mm-hmm. And Beast actually asked, does your wife like the business?
She, what I claim is she knew exactly what she was getting into when she married me 10 years ago. So, yeah, she does. She gets a kick out of it. She's always been really supportive of, this is the tail end of a long string of ridiculous projects, many far sillier than stick figure cat drawing. So, I think she's pretty happy to see one succeeding. And, of course, it's frustrating to have me out of the house working on it, especially with a newborn. But she's way more understanding than she should be, so that's great.
Your kids are very young, but somebody asked, Anonymous asked, how do your kids like the business?
Well, they're really into it. My oldest is 5, so she probably understands it the most, and she'll ask me to draw her cats from time to time, so she has her own little set of drawings. But my fear is I'm kind of teaching them to believe this is all normal. So they'll,
I like that.
Well, of course, our dad draws stick figure cats, and there's nothing weird about that at all. So it'll be curious. I'm curious to see how that affects them socializing as they grow older.
Yes.
Well, that's good. Like myself and Jen, we grew up with our parents who own small businesses, so we understand it a lot more, and so I'm sure it'll help them in the long run see how real business actually works.
Actually, I like you a lot because of that statement right there. So very good. Somebody, cool. Jay Porter, please let Steve know that as a devoted fan, I must say that his drawings are no less valuable than any Mark Cuban will ever draw.
Awesome.
That was very nice.
Thank you. Well, Mr. Porter is a member of our cat drawing club and a very valued member.
Hello.
So I appreciate that. Yeah.
That's awesome. I know you've kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you have one social media tip for these business owners, what will it be?
I'd say there are just so many tricks out there for social networking, and I'd say ignore all of them. Just use it as a conversation. I mean, it's really hard, honestly, to start up with a social networking presence when you're on Twitter and having 10 to 20 people following you. There's not much you can do. Again, I got lucky in that I got shown on national TV and now suddenly have thousands of followers on all these pieces. So it's really easy for me to say, hey, just be yourself and don't worry about it. But that not everyone gets to start with that big of an audience. So on a smaller scale, it's probably just very important not to be annoying and just to find a way to make it a natural extension of what you're doing. For instance, I use Twitter since it's such more of a, tweets are very transitory and always scrolling. That's where I post every cat drawing. So if you want to see every cat drawing I draw, you can just follow me on Twitter, and those automatically post every time a drawing goes to the site. Where something like Facebook, it's more of a, I post far less frequently and more conversationally. So I think just examine the tools and see how they make sense for your business, and don't spend too much time, falling into a lot of social networking are just social networkers talking to social networkers. Find a way to make it real to real people.
I think you've done a good job with that. And we're going to wrap it up because he's got a lot to do tonight. There's a bunch of stuff. I want to get it all, but I can't.
One thing I want to say is, along with your Twitter, every cat drawing goes on your website too.
Yes.
So like Ovaleye's cat drawing, it has its own blog post with the cat, as you can see on the screen. So if you order a cat from Steve, you get your own little page on his website, and you can share it and post your picture wherever. So you get a physical copy and an e-copy, high res, right?
And I want you to please tell everybody where they can find your blog, because I learned so much from his blog.
Cool.
You have some really great blogs. So can you
I
tell us?
appreciate it. Well, now I got to start blogging again.
Yes,
I've
you
been kinda
do.
lazy.
Because it was really good.
So my blog is steve.org, but I spell it steev.org. Someone actually sent me a message today saying, "Hey man, your blog has a virus on it. So if you get a message, I'm sorry. I think I cleaned it up." But it's steev.org. And yeah, I also blog on iwantadrawacatforyou.com.
Yes, you
and
do.
I'll find a way to make those both talk to each other at some point.
And he's very interactive. So if you talk to Steve, before we even talk to Steve about having him on the show, you just tweet him, and he generally answers. He's very responsive and engaging. So do you have any, a couple people were asking, is there anything that you're going to be at in the near future, any events or anything like that people can look for you at?
If you're in Chicago, tomorrow night I'm performing at a show at the Lincoln Hall. It's a bunch of comedians. We're watching a baseball game, turning off the sound and providing our own commentary. It should be a lot of fun.
Is this being recorded at all?
I'm not sure. It's part of the Just for Laughs festival here in Chicago.
I love it. And, we didn't get to talk about the theater part of you, but we're going to not talk about it tonight. We'll have to have you back.
Go to his website, iwantadrawacatforyou.com. At the very, very bottom, he's got logos of all of his different brands that he does, so you can see everything that he does. I want to say thank you to Steve for coming on our show, because you have so much information to share with people that is really insightful and really helps people learn. It's great information. And not only that, we're big fans of the show, and we're big fans and advocates of you being on the show, and we keep watching it. We all have the song stuck in our head.
We do. And Carissa was supposed to dance. She's not going to. Steve won't be able to dance tonight. I want to give a shout out to your sister. Your sister has been awesome on the
I've got to go back and scroll back and read everything.
Yes.
I've been trying to keep track, but it's going by too quickly.
And it's going too fast. So
that's great. My sister's awesome. She's my biggest supporter.
Yeah, she is your biggest supporter, so that's nice. And all of you on chat, thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This has been a real treat for us at Small Businesses Do It Better. And boy, do we ever do it better, don't we?
So all these links that Steve mentioned, and we'll have everything for how to find him and how to order a cat tomorrow when it's posted to our website on ovaleye.tv. And our shows are every Tuesday night at 7 on ovaleye.tv/live and Small Businesses Do It Better.
Thank you again, Steve. I can't
Yeah,
tell
of
you how
course.
nice this was.
I appreciate it, guys. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Okay, so you want to say who's going to be our next guest?
Next week, we have a local rock star. His name is Chaz. He's from Automotive Specialties.
And he's done some really fun
He's
stuff.
really involved in the community. And like I said, he's like a rock star.
Yeah,
I love
been
this
a customer of theirs for a long time. So thank you all for tuning in tonight. We had so much fun. And this will go down in history as a great night.
Yes, so check tomorrow for this episode with all the links on ovaleye.tv. And thank
Until
you for
next week.
watching.